Good morning. Good morning. I pray that all is well with everyone um, in this course. I pray that your families are safe, that you are keeping yourselves healthy by social distancing, uh, by washing your hands, etc., etc. Here during our COVID-19 pandemic that we seem to disregard here in Atlanta, but nonetheless. Um, this is week 4, and want to talk a little bit about how the course is going, and and I always welcome feedback. And for those of you who did not know or didn't watch the week 1 video, this is an online class. So even before COVID, this is an online class. So the interaction in terms of getting a lot of quote unquote uh, straight up instruction is going to be probably maybe not what you expected. So, but anyway, this is an overview of chapter 5, uh, inferential statistics. So, a little housekeeping before we get into that. So far so good for the most part. About 90+% of you are, moving right along. And this week we'll have a little bit of a caveat to go back into the earlier weeks of the course on a discussion board. So we have a discussion board this week, and we'll talk more about that shortly. But this week we're in chapter 5, inferential statistics. So in that word, inferential, is the word infer. And so we're going to use statistics to infer something or a characteristic about what we're studying. So we're going to understand the scientific method and the hypothesis associated with it, and perform inferential statistical analysis to test the hypothesis, and then use selected programs from SPSS or Excel in that data analysis. And so if you're not familiar with the scientific method or hypothesis testing, so we're going to talk about that just really, really quick. So I'm sure you've heard this before, but the scientific method requires the development of a scientific hypothesis and an inferential statistical test of that hypothesis versus another competing hypothesis. So an example would be, we're talking about health and human performance. I'll keep it simple. Let's say push-ups. So, you're developing a scientific hypothesis by saying push-up performance can be increased by doing push-ups or by doing a bench press. And so you'll have two groups. You'll have the push-up group, you'll have the bench press group, and you have a measurement of push-up performance, which is likely a push-up test. And then you test that by, having a certain amount of weeks and all that, and having a certain method for testing, and then you test. So that's what that's where you start. So hypothesis. So we've heard this before. The scientific, a general definition for hypothesis is a statement of presumed relation between at least two variables in a population. So we think that, in my example, we think that push-ups and bench press have something to do with push-up performance. Population, the entire group of people or observations in a question. And so let's go even further. So I believe that in African American males aged 18 to 22, that push-ups performing push-ups will increase push-up performance better than the bench press or 1 RM or one repetition max. The parameter is the measure of interest in the population. So the measure of interest, is would be the push-up performance. So, and the rest of these, the sample, it would be the subgroup, and the statistic would be the measure of interest in that particular sample. And so, as you guys go through this week, you'll learn some statistical symbols, of mean, standard deviation, and correlation, and and the significance of establishing the alpha level. And so the alpha level, that's the probability value that, okay, if I repeat this test, then I have a 95% chance that this test is going to come out exactly the way it did the first time. And I can definitely infer that whatever my results were, that I can make an inference about that particular population that we studied. So, so that's inferential statistics, kind of a down and dirty, really, really quick version of inferential statistics. So let's talk about the first discussion. So discussion 1. So we're going to go back to some of our week 1, week 2, week 3 chapters. And so this is where this discussion board came from. You are interested in determining the healthy lifestyle behaviors used by people in your community. What measures would you take? How would you take them? And how might you intervene to increase healthy lifestyles? How would you determine whether your interventions were effective? And so after your initial post, comment on at least 2 other classmates' posts, and note that saying good posts or nice posts, is not going to suffice. So a good secondary post comment will be insightful and provide subjective and objective commentary on the post. Meaning, going back to our example, let's say, I said, I want to increase, healthy lifestyle behaviors by, putting a push-up station, every 10 feet. And so, how do I determine whether that was good? I, test push-up performance as a part of a, physical exam or something. And so did their push-up performance change their lifestyle? Did it make their lives better? Did it make it worse? And so for a secondary post, someone may say, oh yeah, that sounds great. But what about this? What if we considered, adding a squat exercise, because these are functional things that people do every single day, where they use, engage their core with squats and with push-ups. And because they have core balance, they're able to do more things from a functional standpoint. So, and then, and maybe find an article that supports that. So don't just say, oh yeah, that, empty rhetoric, in science is just empty rhetoric. You're just talking. So usually if you thought it, somebody else has thought it too, and they have likely written about it. So, go find an article, go find an article that supports what you're saying, and, and practice your library skills and skills that you need, to write and support what you're saying. All right. So that's all I have for today. Do not hesitate to reach out to me. Continue to keep yourselves and your family safe. God bless.